joining me today. I have 2 of these chairs to do, but they're only partials because all my friend wants me to do is to change the arms out and the seats, and I will have to take the tacks out very carefully because I need to reuse them. I am unable at the moment to buy tacks in this colour, they're more brassy, and I don't fancy painting each one, and I'm sure he doesn't want to either. So let's get on with it. As with all projects, I'm going to have to undo it, but I'm going to be very careful with these. I need them to come out as straight as possible. This is usable. Some will come out bent, which I'll have to throw away, but the majority will come out like this, I think. So it's a case of ease it until you get to the other side, then up and out. I want to come out a bit straighter. I'll go back and take the staples out as well. Those I don't care about, I'll just pull those out as I get there. And I'll work my way around. I'm going to do the arms first and then the seat, because if there's any mess going onto the seat, it won't go onto the new cover. When I rub it, it does pill slightly, so the next time my friend needs to have his chair recovered, I'm going to tell him to make sure he has all of the foam changed out. In the meantime, I'm just going to pop this across here because it needs a little bit of plumping up, and because I've got 2 chairs, I have cut 4 pieces, and I cut a corner out on one corner. Tells me that the pattern goes this way, so on the other side this will be on the outside of the chair arm. The center is more or less there, which is there, so I'm going to put a staple here and fold that at the back and line it up to more or less the center at the back. I'm going to pull it just slightly, but not too much. I don't want to pull it too much because I don't want it tearing the fabric here, and put a staple there. It's going to wrinkle here, which means I'll probably have to straighten this out in a minute. Pulling the center of there down, the ridge under here will stop me going further down, and I'm going to put a staple just here. Here's my ridge on that side, so I'm going to pull the center down there. Not too tight, but enough so it's firm. Pull this part out and down slightly so I can go around and down. I've just altered this one, and now I'm going to bring this the same way. It's coming out and slightly down so that it takes some of the bulk out of here. It has split here slightly. It does, that's the unfortunate thing. And this one needs to be removed and pulled down because I can see it rippling here. Cut back as close as I can on the staple side of the ridge because I don't want any of this showing. I might have to move a couple of those staples a little bit further in. I'll have a look as I go. Again, I'm going to just pull it down slightly to start off with, not by much. As I come in here, it comes down and around just like I did on the front. And another there. I'm going to do the same here. Actually, you know, if I pull that, it wrinkles here. So I might have to just pull all of that out. Upholstery is a case of you put it in and you take it out and put it back in again. Part of my problem is this is embossed, so it has lots of wrinkles anyway. I'm going to just pull that down and forward, and hopefully that will just come into place. I just need to work it in, that's all. Now all I have to do is cut out this side too. I've been worried about whether this is going to look okay against the original, which is here. I think it does. They're close enough together that they don't detract, but not so close together that I won't have enough tacks to put in. The band here will cover any rough edges at the bottom. I'm going to replicate this on the bottom there, and it should be quite in keeping, seeing as he's keeping the back of this chair. I'm really quite pleased with this look. Although this has got the lines from the stripe on the silk top that was there, for the most part this seems to be okay. I am going to put on some super soft foam, line that up as best I can. It gets caught on the filler under there, so I don't want to catch that too much. From here I'm going to cut into that corner like that, not too close so that it goes round. I'll fit it in better when I put the cover on. That can go down there. Here, push down and cut in and at an angle so that it goes around the arm like that and into place. And I'll do the same on this side too. just like that. Even with the Dacron, I'm going to determine where all of it needs to go and cut it to a smaller size. That should push down all the way to the back. No, I've got to pull it back another couple of inches to there. Let that fall down. Push that down and see how far that goes. As long as this goes down the side, I'll overcut that because I can use some of it for fitting into corners where it needs to be. As with the foam, I am just going to cut into these corners and I'll work them in when I am putting the top cover on. I want the chair to look as even as possible all the way around. I started pulling this one in the other day and I want this one to match. I'm going to pin the first staple, which is in the centre here, above the centre of here, so that I don't have to worry about it when I pull it back. I know where it's going. I'm not going to pull it in too tight, I just want it to be held. Now I can smooth this all the way back to the frame and pull it underneath and into place. I've got the foam through here. I'm going to cut back the foam on the leg here so it goes in better, and also on the other side. Pull the Dacron down. I think I'll be able to work with that there for now, but I do need to make sure that this is even either side. Because I've got this chair here, I can work out where the patterns go. What I ended up doing on this was to measure out like this to either side and determine where the centre was. And there's a cross there, and if I pull those out, that's where the centre is. I'm going to bring this down and into place. If I compare it to the other one over here, about here. I'm going to hold that with a staple so that I can then start pulling this out either side and working it in. Make sure that it is as even as you possibly can. That looks like it's the bottom of the pattern on the centre there, so I'm going to pull that down. The ridge is here somewhere, and if I look at the top, this shows equal to there and secure. It's a little bit high, I'll have to pull it down in a minute. This needs to come here, and that will help spread the tension on the back. I can pull this back down in a minute. I think that's about right. I'm going to come in along the side here, like that. Then I can push anything in that I need to. And the same with the Dacron. Just cut it generously and up. The side here, I have to think about the way the pattern goes. If I line the two chairs up, I've got this pattern here and this pattern here, and then these leaves are tucked behind the Dacron and leg when it's pulled in. So having made my mark, my fold mark is like that. So I'm going to cut generously behind and up in a straight line. I'm going to carry on a little bit further and then angle in. Then if I put that coming across like that, I can then start bringing this in and to the corner of the leg. Not too far in, because I need to be able to push that down and around and push that through. I need to take the Dacron in a little bit more because it's rising up too much. That should come in relatively straight here. I've still got room for manoeuvring. I'll take another little clip in. That should get me a little bit closer, but not too close. Pop that under there, pop that under there, and see where I get to. I'll do the other side as well. I'm going to cut this corner off here because I don't need it. I'm going to cut it off with a little bit extra to spare so I can mess with it. That can also be cut up. I'm going to cut that halfway through the leg, and that's already been cut back to go there. This needs to match basically this. The top of this pattern comes to about the top of the swirly bit here. So I'm going to cut this up so it doesn't interfere with the shaping of the frame too much. It's a little bit higher, but once that's all pulled into place, it should come down. Pull this down. I'm going to mark this with my finger. It's a little bit lower, but not too much. And hold that into place here. I can rework any part of this, so it's really not a problem. I can feel the rise of the shaping under my fingers and then staple. I've done the same over here. I've cut it on the outside. I've pulled that round. Now this is why I tell you don't cut in too far on anything, because it might alter. And this is a typical it might alter. It actually pulls quite a way through here. There's plenty of room for it. Here again, I'm able to twist the fabric back up, cut into this corner from a different angle. So it still folds behind here, and down into here. I've got quite a bit of space, just mess with it until I get there. And even getting there, don't cut straight in, because you do want to make sure you can turn everything where you need to turn it. I think that's probably about right. I'll pull it in from the back, and if I need to, I can pull this up and just nick in a little bit further on this corner. That can be cut back, doesn't need to be that big. Fold that in like that and bring this in line like this. I think that is absolutely where it needs to go on this side. If I need to, I'm going to cut some of this back behind there. I think I pulled it in too tight, so that'll pull up. That looks like it comes in just where it needs to on both sides. I'm going to cut this out, it's too much there. There's a piece of Dacron in there, and that folds around and plumps it up a little bit. Down and into place. That looks about right. Smooth this in as I work my way to the other end of here. I'll take this out because that needs to come down. As I pull this in, it's going to straighten out slightly. Something you'll notice is as you bring a fabric in and straighten it, this was a little bit tight there, but as I pushed it over, as it straightened up, it filled the gap. Pull this back into place here, like this. Pull this down, and that will straighten this pattern out too. I've leveled this out here, and then I can just put that in as well. If I have to, I'll pull that a little bit more, but we'll see what it looks like in a minute. I'm going to take this one out and just pull that down too. I've pulled this in and I can feel the top of the bar here. All I'm going to do is hold it and then just staple on into position. Now I've reclipped into the front there like I did on the other side. I've pushed all of this extra fabric back and I'm bringing it in. Now I'm going to, on this chair, work from one side to the other. Usually I work from the center out, but because the fabric and the pattern is already lined up for me, I can do it this way. I'm going to work this side in, bring it down to where it needs to, and then just gradually bring the rest of this into place towards the center. You can do it either way, but on your first chair you always want to start centers first out. Second chair you can work outside in because you've got the pattern to follow. I'm going to rework this a little bit. I've got a couple of staples to take out of here that I couldn't see yesterday, but now the light's better I can. So I'll take that out and then work this side in. I've worked that side in, just going to pull this down so that it levels out and matches with the side that I've just put in. It needs to come down to here. And I'm pulling this straight down. I'm not pulling it out because I've already pulled it out to there. I just need this to go in as straight as possible. You can see this is straightening up now. That needs to come down just a wee tad more to there. And now all I have to do is straighten out this little patch so that it matches and I can cut it all back. This will straighten out when I start pulling it at the front, because at the moment I've only got 3 staples at the front holding that, so that's why it kind of bulges a little bit here and a little bit there. If there's any staples a little bit too close so you can't cut them out, staple above and then remove the one that's in the way. That was just a little bit too close there, so I'll carry on cutting all of this fabric back. This one here, I am just going to trim back the Dacron so that it's easier to install the top cover. I'll do the same on the other side. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to follow there. Then I'm going to bring in this. This front needs to come down to about here. I'm going to staple it in a couple of places just to hold it firm at the front so I can move the sides in. That can go here. This one can go here, like that. It probably still needs to be brought in a little bit, but that's fine. And I'll do the same on this side, just to keep it straight and in keeping. You'll find with upholstery, you put things in, you take things out, you put things in, you take things out. Again, right here. I'm going to start on this side. I'm just going to bring this down and into place. This curve here is this curve here. This cross here is this cross here. Pull that a little bit this way, but not too far. And then on around. So this pattern here is this pattern here. That has to come, actually it's this one first. So I'm bringing that onto there and stapling it. And release the ones here and just straighten those out so they don't pull, and then carry on working it over here. By pulling the section down, it should go in more evenly. I've just cut some of the dacron out. I'm going to pull this fabric this way into line. This needs to come onto the top of here so it matches there. And then this pattern needs to come across here. As you see, it's coming in straight. I might have to alter these ones here to let that out a bit, but as it comes in, it should even out anyway. Fold this back so it's even front to back, and I am going to cut across the top here. Push that down into the dip, and I'm going to cut back slightly and forward slightly so that it goes around that arm like that. And then I'll do the same on this side. Cut along here into the arm, back and forward slightly so that goes into that dip there. You know, the nice thing about cell phones is you can take photos. So I'm going to take a quick photo of this, and that will go with the other photos I've taken of this side so that I can match the other side. Once I've done all of this one chair, I'll do the other one to match it. So if there's anything that goes funky, it should be on both chairs. This isn't quite pulling in like I want it to, so I'm going to just take a couple more snippets down here like this. Not too far, I don't want it too deep because I do want it to go around the arm of the chair. That should do for there. Even if I pull that forward, it doesn't open up too much because I'm pulling down. I'm going to get this side in first, then the rest of the front here. As usual, I'm just going to cut back the dacron a little bit like that. Bring that down, bring that around the top there. I'll check, but I think that might be where it goes in. That actually pulls a little bit further back and in. So I'm going to put my staple here and then pull down to the front. The reason is, once I've got this in here, I can pull it back there. It will automatically curve back because of the way the chair goes at the front. I just got to get there. The front of this pattern here comes almost to the front of the leg, and then I'm going to start working backwards from there. I'll bring this into place here and double check my picture. That doesn't look pinched, but I will pull this back and into there because that's what needs to happen. I've just taken a picture of this side and I want this side to match. Bring the front corner in here. So I'm going to use this as my reference, cut some of the padding out so it would go round. I'll get it to be as close as possible, pull at the front so that that comes right down. This almost comes down to here, so I'll pull this in as well. So by doing this, I'm pulling from here, and I might have to rework this corner. It sort of pops in there, so I need to rework that. I've pulled the fabric on round, and I have a little bit of dacron in this corner, and all I'm going to do is going to work this to get as straight a line as possible on that corner. It's not going to be perfect to the other side. You'll find that one side will always go in better than the other, but at least they're as identical as I can make them. And I need it to be on the corner of the chair leg, and it looks like it should be out there a little bit more. I will work that in from here into that corner. There we go, I think that's probably it. And in. I've got my chair here and my chair here, and I'm going to copy everything from that chair onto this chair. Match the top of that with the top of here. Fold that over, around, like that, and with a little bit of manoeuvring, I'm going to bring it down across here to the bottom and match it, like that. Now I'm going to just carry on pulling this to match the pattern over here, and I'm going to just pull it straight down because I don't really need to change it anywhere, I don't think. That comes to there, so I'm going to put these 3 staples in here. Then bring this section into place. I'm going to do this all the way along this side of the chair and onto the other side. So this is a little ways up. That should come to there. I'm going to put that one in here and then pull that down too and into place so it's even. I've just come back across here to make sure this fitted in, and unfortunately I can see some of this orange behind here. So I am just going to cut a little bit out like that. Then the dacron that's in here should puff it up enough that the orange from the previous foam won't be seen, and I'll bring that down in a straight line. Finish this side up. I'm not going to be changing this because it matches the other one, so I'm just going to cut all of this out. I can adjust any of the staples if they're too low and move them if necessary. On this front edge here, I've cut a little bit more out from under there so it can be folded right in and around like that, and I will secure it here. My main thing is to get this corner in so that I can work backwards. It needs to come a bit further down here. So I'm going to secure that. I can take it out if necessary. I'm going to bring this back, and this has to come in here. And then I'll work back until it's all where you want it to be. And then I can cut this side of the chair out. As before, I can fold that in and fold that under and pull it as hard as I can into place to match. Secure it. I can alter it if necessary. Then that comes down into here and that comes here. Provided that comes to the top of that pattern. It looks like I've got to pull it in a little bit more. That's fine. As I pull it across, it will come down, and then I can rework this corner here. I just want this where I need it for now. That comes in here. I need strong fingers for this job sometimes. So now I'm going to work backwards and into place, and this will drop down just a little bit if need be. I've got my chair here that I'm following the pattern from. Roll this into place like that and secure it. I'm going to just pull it to the back like this. Pull this down and secure this into place for now so I can work forward and back from here. I cut this at 1 1/4 inches on the bias, not that there's really much for bias. The seat I will be cutting at 1 1/2 inches because it frays and I don't want it fraying. Fold the top down and under so that that always hides anything that's going down. At the back here, I'm going to put 2 tacks because they're used, and I don't know how many I've got. I'm going to have this trouble all the way down. When you use used tacks, they always wobble and they're really quite awkward to work with. I'm going to put 2 at the back like this with a small gap between them. And the reason is I know I don't have enough to put these tacks in really close like this. They're going to have a little bit of a gap between them, otherwise I'm not going to have enough. I'll cut my joins back like this, cut any odd bits off like that so that it's nice and smooth. Open the seam, fold the bottom up and the top down, and I'm going to start putting it into place along here. Put one quite close to the top. Keep that folded if you can, because when everything goes into place, if it's not already folded, it will start opening up and you don't want that to happen. These ones along the side have to be 1/2 inch from each centre. Put that on there and work out where the 1/2 inch is and put the next one in. I'm going to use the same maths for the seat as well to make sure everything goes in looking as identical as possible. Once it's started in, then I can rework. Okay, so it's started to go in, and all I'm going to do is reopen that up, refold it like that, pull it round slightly, and then finish tapping the nail in. And then I'm going to measure from the centre here across 1/2 inch and on round until I've got all of this tape in place. Once you've done quite a length, you'll be able to eyeball your measurements and be pretty much where you need them to be. Across the front, still going to fold it over like that. I am going to put a centre one in like that. If your tack is really wonky like that one, always hit the tack from the highest point, and it should go in straight and it should sort itself out. And then I'm going to put one either side. They're a little bit closer than I want, but they'll have to do. That's so that you've got an uneven number on the top here. It just makes it look more pleasing to the eye having that. I can't put 3 at the back, it's not quite wide enough. And now I'm going to work down on the inside exactly the same way, folding and making sure everything goes in. I think it's going to be a bit awkward to see, but basically I've got one piece of fabric coming in here and the other one there. I'm going to cut the one back on the top like that so it's flush, and I am going to put one nail here which should catch it down. I'm going to fit one more in here. It's going to be a little bit closer than I want it, but it'll be fine. Right in the middle there. By hitting them at different angles, you can kind of straighten them out, and that'll have to do. I think that's a pretty neat join here. With the other ones, you just need to fold over as I usually show you. Not that it's very obvious, but these are centre to centre is 1/2 inch apart. And if you look at the back, it kind of looks in keeping. I'm hoping that'll be fine with him. I started these in the centre front and worked either way out so that I would have a good stopping point. This side piece I started at the back and also came up, and I managed to get them to finish more or less in the same point. All I did here was cut the trim about 1/2 inch up, chafed off the corners, and then folded it all into position. You could use a sturdy pin or something just to push any stray edges or threads underneath, but I think it came out really well. I'm really pleased with it. The corner here, not that you can see it very well, I actually came into the corner, bottom corner, top corner, and then the center one just to push the trim into place. And the same here, I did the top one and then pulled it into the bottom. And here I actually pulled it straight, put the tack in, and as the tack was almost in, then I curved the folded trim up so that it would pivot around the nail shaft. But I think it went in well. Thank you for joining me with this video. I hope that this is the look that my friend wants, with the new seat, the new arms and the existing back. I will find out shortly because he's on his way here. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be absolutely brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.